let me start with this question. We went off in the holidays. I think most people who went off for the holiday break believed that Secretary Clinton had a not insurmountable lead, a very comfortable lead, and that the Bernie Sanders phenomenon was maybe abating. We've now come back, it's January, and he is surging, apparently. You look at the numbers, you look at the sense of things in Iowa and New Hampshire. What changed that suddenly has given him this new burst of energy and momentum?
Well, I think it was just a process of building, John. You know, remember, they had 3 months of TV, August 4th to November 4th, paid media in Iowa and New Hampshire. We were not on the air. We had a longer, frame that we were building towards. We started November 4th. By the time we get to the end of the year, now we had a couple of months of TV. We've been able to introduce Bernie Sanders to a much broader cross-section of voters. We've been building great campaigns on the ground in Iowa and New Hampshire, and then in Nevada, and onto South Carolina and elsewhere. So I think we just went through a process where people got to see him, know his story, and that really brought him to the forefront of their, sort of the voting equation, number one. Number two, when you turn the corner after the holidays, that's when people really plug in Iowa and New Hampshire, and they plugged in.
So let's just talk about Iowa for a second. With the Bloomberg Politics Des Moines Register Iowa poll, we just came out with the numbers this week. Have you guys 2 points back, but within the margin of error, it's essentially a jump ball out there. What in these next 2 weeks, which is really all it is now before the Iowa caucuses, what has to happen in these next 2 weeks for you guys to close the sale and actually win the Iowa caucuses?
Well, we got to focus on our message. I think we have a very clear message. America's economy is rigged. It sends most of the wealth to the top. It's held in place by a corrupt system of campaign finance. That's what he's talked about from the beginning. That's what we're going to talk about to the end. If he can deliver that message, if he can deliver it in his own unique, convincing way, if we can get out to voters and we can mobilize, particularly new voters, bring young people in, bring first-time caucus goers in, get more independents involved in the Democratic primary caucus process. I think if we do that, we've got a real shot of winning.
So this week, we've seen Secretary Clinton and her daughter, Chelsea. We've talked about that on the show a bit this week. We've seen them start to really train their fire on Bernie Sanders. When I talked to him a little bit earlier today, he said he thinks the Clintons are getting desperate. Do you think they're geting desperate?
Well, I agree with Bernie, okay, if that's your question. Yeah. But listen, I think what we've got to do is not get distracted. We got to focus on him, his message. I think if he wins, it's going to be because of 3 things. 1, his message is more powerful. 2, he's more authentic in delivering it. 3, we have the resources to deliver the message. Those are the things we got to focus on, and if we do, I think we got a real shot.
But how do you interpret? I mean, you're sitting here watching all this unfold. Hillary Clinton, I understand why she has gone after you guys on guns, and we'll talk about that in a second. But just how do you interpret this health care argument they're making? Are you surprised to hear them trying to make the argument they're making on health care against Senator Sanders?
I'm very surprised, because Democratic caucus goers in Iowa, primary voters, I think they aspire to having health care for all. Bernie Sanders has stood up and said things that other candidates, frankly, haven't said in the past. We should have a single-payer system in America, Medicare for all. I think it's something very appealing to Democratic primary voters, and I think for Hillary to suggest that we're going to disassemble Obamacare and the Medicare and the entire healthcare system, I just don't think it's credible.
Let's talk about guns for a second, because obviously this is an issue where I think most people would concede, maybe you will not, we concede that Secretary Clinton is in a better place with relation to the Democratic electorate than with Bernie Sanders. Do you feel as though you have done, how well do you think you've done in neutralizing that weakness for Senator Sanders?
Well, first, I understand how everybody says this is a terrible weakness, she's attacking on it, she's got TV ads on it. Here's the truth. Bernie Sanders, from the beginning of his political career, has stood up on the issues of gun safety. Okay, he lost his first race here in Vermont for Congress, probably because he stood up and said he opposed assault weapons. He's always supported background checks. He supported other strong gun safety measures. He's got a D- lifetime rating from the NRA. Now, I think we have to put that out. We've done so. I don't think this election is going to be decided on that issue. I think if Bernie Sanders was a member of the A team, NRA people, I think he'd be in trouble, but he's not.
You don't dispute the notion, though, that in that first debate in particular, that he was not sufficiently well prepared to make the arguments that he needed to make, and that he has suffered a little bit with the Democratic electorate because she has this one particular vote, the liability vote, that she's hammered him on pretty relentlessly for months.
I don't dispute that he could have done a better job in that debate explaining his position and explaining his record, and I think since then he has.
Right. Do you think that there's let's talk about this ad you guys put out that became one of contention. Just the Clinton campaign yesterday, as you know, held a conference call to basically say Senator Sanders is now, he promised he wouldn't go negative, he has now gone negative. How do you respond to the charge that ad, though it does not mention her name, is pretty explicitly negative. There is a pretty clear contrast that's drawn in that ad.
I don't see it as a negative ad. I mean, I've made a lot of negative ads in my day. Okay, we put the other candidate in and we attack them. They're scary.
Right.
That isn't. Listen, there are two Democratic visions for how to regulate Wall Street. There's a vision of Wall Street Democrats, and there's Bernie Sanders' vision, and other Democrats. I mean, Elizabeth Warren, I think, shares in that vision that we've got to take them on. We can't take the money if we're going to regulate them.
Do you think that in the next 2 weeks, this race between the two of them is going to get appreciably more negative than it has been already?
I hope not, and I'll tell you, it won't from our side. I mean, we'll see what happens. If she's going to attack him, we'll deal with her.
Not hope, though. What do you think? What do you expect?
I don't know what to expect. I mean, I can't, their calculation right now, I think, is they've got to beat back Bernie and they've got to attack him. If they're going to do that, we'll deal with it. And we will not deal with it, I think, by attacking her. That's what, Bernie Sanders doesn't do that kind of politics. Listen, we had a real tough race here in Vermont for the Senate in 2006. He was attacked brutally by his opponent. We never attacked the guy and he won by almost 30 points. Do
you think if, look, the Clintons have been in the past, they know how to campaign. When they need to go negative, they go negative. They do it with great ferocity and singular focus. Is he ready for that? If it comes to that, if this does really get messy and ugly over the next 2 weeks, can he withstand that kind of onslaught?
Yes, he can. I've been through a tough, really tough Senate race with him. I've seen the way he's dealt with powerful interests coming at him and his willingness to stand up to them. I have no doubt, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump thereafter or any of the Republicans, Bernie Sanders is ready for it.
What's the mood like?
I think it's good. Listen, we, I mean, when we start...
On a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of crankiness, where's his crankiness?
Well, that's, that has its own scale, okay? Listen, I mean, listen, Bernie is who he is. He's not going to change it, and that's great. And that's part of the reason for his success in this campaign.
Okay, Tad Devine, you have a lot of work to do over the next couple of days.